It is our pleasure today. This is like old home week. We have almost all of our missionaries here in-house with us today. Go ahead. The Kidders are represented. TJ always represents. And the McDaniels are here with us. I've asked Kevin if he would share with us today. I've just given him the service. So is there anything you need from me at this point, or am I just giving it to you? All right, Kevin, come on up and share with us.
Might have to turn the light off. It's pretty reflective.
Keeps you awake.
Thank you, Ken. I have my notebook here. I had to borrow it from Alexandra because I couldn't find mine, so we're gonna be studying out of this today. So good to see all of you guys. It really is. Well, maybe you can't imagine, but it's just such a blessing to just walk in and see everybody and be greeted after such a long time. And so just wanted to start by saying how blessed we are to be here. So we are, as you know, missionaries in Mexico. We're going to be sharing in a little bit a video and some pictures and slideshow and thing, talking about what we do. But that's kind of what you're going to see is mostly our works side, like the things that we're doing, that we're occupying our time with, our good works, I guess you'd call them. But first I wanted to start out by kind of sharing our heart a little bit. Pardon me, sharing our heart a little bit. Ephesians chapter 5, if you want to turn there. So Ephesians chapter 5, starting in the first verse, it says, "Follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us, and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God." Follow God's example. As Christians, he is our role model, our pattern, what we're supposed to model ourselves after. We're to imitate Christ. And then I think it's really neat where how it says walk in the way of love. You know, it says God is love, right? Other parts of the scripture says God is love. God is the definition of love. So if we're imitating him, we should be loved too, right? We basically have to, as Christians, we don't have, you know, it's not in our original old sin nature to love. It's to seek our own and to do what we want and to be selfish, you know. And so we have to make that decision every single day and multiple times a day, for some of us more than others, you know, to love, to show love, to speak and act in love. I was thinking of, for an example, you know, like first thing in the morning, when I'm awakened by a 4-year-old girl blowing in my ear to check and see if I'm awake yet, I have to act and speak in love, you know. And then kind of one of the other extremes, when my drunk neighbor is out chopping weeds with a machete at 3 in the morning singing, I have to not act or speak because of love. If that makes sense. So it's about love. It's about demonstrating with the way you speak and the way you act and the way you live your life the love of Christ, you know. It goes down further down. If you look in verse 15 of the same chapter, it says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. And the days are so evil. Not only murder and mayhem all over the world, Satan worshiping and blasphemy and just horrible things, but even a little closer to home, the simple act of not speaking the truth to try not to offend someone, or holding your tongue when you can feel it bubbling up inside of you because you just don't want to get into it. We got to get into it. We got to get into that fray, into that battle. Share that Christ love. Correct the wrong in the world. You know, if we don't stand up, then what are we doing here? You know, we're wasting our time. So it's the opposite of love to keep your mouth shut when you should be sharing and should be standing up for what is right. Now, this isn't in my notes, but just as a thought on top of that, remember when you do stand up and when you do correct, that it has to come from love. Because if it's self-serving, or if it's you just feel that righteous indignation and you're going to tell them they're wrong, well, that's not coming from love. That's not coming from Jesus. You know, that's yourself. So there's that balance there, but you do have to have that boldness to speak and to share in love. Imitating Christ means that we have to love the way He loves. And what did it say in the earlier verse? It said, Christ loved us and gave Himself for us as a fragrant sacrifice, fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Love means sacrifice. You know, sometimes it's big sacrifices. Sometimes, I mean, like, for example, my family we've sacrificed a lot, really, we have, to go down to Mexico. I mean, we do love it, and we love that we're where God has us and all that, but it was a sacrifice. It does give up. You do give up a lot. And other missionaries can attest to that. It's a big change. It's uproots your family, and it's not always easy and beautiful, but if you're doing it out of love and you're doing it out of obedience to God, then there's so many blessings that follow. It's amazing. But sacrifice might mean something big like that, or it might even mean something smaller, like listening to someone when you really want to talk, or you want to change the subject because you're not really interested in what they have to say. But maybe that's exactly what they need to do, is to get that out, to share that, to spill it, to free themselves, you know. And that's one of the tougher things that I've had to learn, and I'm still learning, is to listen instead of waiting to talk. I like to talk, I like to share, I like to keep the conversation moving, and sometimes, no, you need to be quiet and listen. And one of the beauties of listening, as I've learned, is you hear what they're saying, and you know better how to respond, but also in your attitude of listening, you're more sensitive to the Holy Spirit and Him guiding you. He might be tapping you on the shoulder while you're waiting to talk. Come on, hurry up, get through this so I can tell you what I want to say, so I can give you this great advice I just thought of, you know. Maybe the Holy Spirit's tapping on your shoulder saying, hey, I want you to say this or do this, or not say this or not say to do that, because this is what's going to minister to this person you're listening to. And so that's been a real key in my ministry down there, in our ministry down there, is listening. We spend a lot of time down there talking to people. At first, I think it was just curiosity on their part, and it still is on people that don't know us. You know, they see you, they start to talk to you because they want to know what's the deal, you know, with this bald white guy, and what's this beautiful woman doing with him. You know, it's just they wanted to talk to you, wanted to get to know you and see who you are and what you're about, you know. But then it kind of ended there, and there was a certain amount of shall we say, hesitation, or that we didn't get past the curious stage, and that was really frustrating for me, because it didn't seem like we were fitting in, didn't seem like we were really getting that heart-to-heart conversation with people. It just wasn't happening, you know, and it was kind of frustrating to me. I mean, we talked to everybody. We talked to our neighbors, we talked to taxi drivers and store owners and little kids and dogs if they want to listen. Everybody. I like to talk. I mean, probably people that know me know that. But we've lived on the same street in the same neighborhood for a year. And just recently we've actually started to notice a change in how we're perceived, how people respond to us, the things that they say when they come up to us have changed, and we're starting to feel some of that acceptance. And it's really, really a blessing. It feels so good because it seems like it's been forever that it's just didn't feel like you're getting anywhere, like you're, I don't know. I guess you'd say, well, part of that I know comes from most Mexicans automatically assume that you're American, you got money, you're rich, and that they can't relate to you because you have money and you don't know what it's like to be in their shoes. Well, I don't know what it's like to be in their shoes. I haven't grown up in Mexico, but Imelda does. And I was not raised with a silver spoon by any means, you know. But they think I have no idea what it's like to struggle to pay bills, what it's like to when things are tough. But now getting to know them and sharing with them and spending time with them and talking to them, they're starting to realize that we're not these rich Americans who think we know everything and are trying to show off or anything like that. That, you know, we don't have air conditioning, we don't have a dryer, we don't take our car everywhere, we take public transportation all the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. You know, I ride my bike to work at the orphanage, and we live like them. We talk with them. We talk about, oh man, the electricity was so expensive last week, you know, or last month. You know, can't believe it. You know, had to decide not to do this because we had to pay that bill. You know, and they're starting to see that we're normal people, that we're not these rich people. We actually can relate to them on a level, and so I think that has had a lot to do with our kind of breaking through that resistance, that skepticism. And so it's been really, really, really much of a blessing recently to just see people talking to us, opening up to us, inviting us to do stuff. People will come from the community and inviting kids to go to this event or something for kids, and they're actually coming and inviting us. And it feels different. It doesn't feel like, oh, let's invite those American kids. You know, it's just like, oh, hey, you're part of the group now. You know, and so it's something we've prayed about a lot, and it's really a blessing. But in that, verse 15, remember, says, be very careful then how you live. And so that's kind of what we've had to do, to not fit into the category that they've already put us in, but to be Christ, no matter what. And, you know, here in the States, we experience a certain amount of anonymity, you know. You don't know that guy down there, you're never going to see him again. It's not like you have to be that careful. But down there, I'm amazed. Oh, yeah, I heard you were over at the such and such doing thus and such because my cousin's sister's brother saw you over there, and everybody knows where you are and what you're doing all the time. And like, oh, we know. I saw you bought that thing. My sister's neighbor was looking out the window and saw you unloading it from your truck. I mean, it's just like everybody sees everything you do. And so this verse here, you know, be very careful how you live and be as wise, not unwise. You know, and it really, really hits home with us because we really have to. We have to be that example. And so, let me find my place. I'm going to keep rambling here. Most importantly, we try to demonstrate the love of Jesus Christ with all of our actions and words and attitudes. And then, like it says in that same verse, making the most of every opportunity. So I'm going to finish this little part of it by one last encouragement to all of you. This is how we ought to live our lives. Being careful what we do, what we say, how we act, showing the love of Christ, taking advantage of every opportunity, and even further, I would say, making opportunity. Because Luke 10:19 says, for the Son of Man, Jesus, came to seek and to save the lost. And so as imitators of Jesus Christ, that's what we should be doing. We should be seeking to save the lost. So that's what we do down there, and we should all be doing. So first, now we're going to do actually a little video that Josh helped me put together that shows some of our life, kind of a picture of what we do and what we've been doing over the last year. And then I have a little slideshow I'm going to show and kind of talk through some of the stuff that we do as a ministry. So you can go ahead and play that.
Build your kingdom here, let the darkness fear. Show your mighty hand, heal our streets and land. Set your church on fire, win this nation back. Change the atmosphere, build your kingdom here, we pray. Come set your rule and reign in our hearts again. Increase in us, we pray. Unveil why we're made. Come set our hearts ablaze with hope, like wildfire in our very souls. Holy Spirit, come invade us now. Church, and we need your power in us. Let's go! We seek your kingdom first. We hunger and we thirst. Refuse to waste our lives, for you're our joy and prize. To see the captive hearts released, the hurt, the sick, the poor at peace. Lay down our lives for heaven's cause. We are your church, and we pray revive this earth. We're praying for revival. Build your kingdom here, let the darkness fear. Show your mighty hand, heal our streets and land. Set your church on fire, win this nation back. Change the atmosphere, build your kingdom here, we pray. Change the atmosphere, unleash your kingdom's power, reaching the near and far. No force of hell can stop your beauty changing hearts. 'Cause you made us for much more than this. Awake the kingdom seed in us. Fill us with the strength and love of Christ. We are your church, oh, and we are the hope on earth. Come on, church, build your kingdom here. Let the darkness fear. Show your mighty hand, heal our streets and land. Set your church on fire, win this nation back. Change the atmosphere, build your kingdom here, we pray. Change the atmosphere, build your kingdom here. Build your kingdom here, let the darkness fear. Show your mighty hand, heal our streets and land. Set your church on fire, win this nation back. Change the atmosphere, build your kingdom here, we pray. Let's win this nation back.
So I know potluck's coming soon, so you guys hope you really enjoyed all the pictures of the food. We eat a lot of good food. It's actually amazing. I'm not 400 pounds right now, but there's other things that keep us in shape. I'll show you on the slideshow here. What do I need to do? What?
Turn it on, there's a switch on the side.
Oh, wrong switch, wait. Oh, there we go. So, every time you stop at a stoplight, you're bombarded by people selling you stuff, trying to clean your windshield. If you're not quick enough to say no, they'll jump up on your hood and just start scrubbing, and then you gotta give them a few pesos. So that was what happened in this picture. I told him clearly no, but he apparently didn't hear me, and that happens all the time. But real quick, I'll talk about this. This is, I went in to get my driver's license down there, and it made more sense than why they drive the way they do, because this was the instruction you got. Looking at all these signs, and watching a video of a bunch of horrific crashes. Then he went around to 7 or 8 or 9 different stations to get this stamped here, and this checked here, and this signed here, and to pay this here, and then get your fingerprints and get your picture, and then they got your license. So yeah, it kind of explains a lot about why they drive the way they do. No testing, no instructions, nothing. Well, like I said, a transit official did come in after the video was over and talked for about 2 minutes and said, you got to drive careful and drive politely, and that was about it, really. This is a typical thing that you see a lot. Just they use every available retail space to sell their wares. So that's a fruit and vegetables truck. Amazing that it can keep driving down the road. The tires were kind of scraping inside the wheel wells, and that happens a lot. And as you saw in the video, the picture of the truck with all the huge tires in it, that's just very typical down there. Where do I need to point this? At that?
Here.
Oh, back there, okay. One of the things that, one of my jobs at the Casa, at the orphanage down there, is to take the boys to their soccer practices 4 days a week, and then take them to their games on the weekends and stuff. And so, this time of year, or in the winter I should say, this is more what it looks like. You can see everything is just dirt. That's what the whole field looks like. We have an umbrella and are trying to get a little bit of relief from the blazing sun right there. It was over 100 degrees. We ended up having to walk back to the car and turn on the air conditioner that they had in the orphanage car because it was just too hot. But that's what it looks like. And then the other extreme is this time of year. And that's more what it's like now. Playing in standing water and everything. Cool thing, the girls, this is at one of the soccer games that our family went to. There was a tournament that we took the boys to. And my kids are very outgoing and find friends wherever they go. And it's pretty neat to see them learning the language and practicing and not afraid to just have fun with kids. So that's a really blessing to see. And this is just a little example of some of the projects that have gone on at the orphanage. A lot of these pictures, many of you have seen if you follow us on Facebook or receive our newsletter. But this was just an extension that they put on the dining room. That's been one of my jobs at the orphanage, is to kind of be a projects manager, I guess, just to hang out while they're doing the projects and supervise and make sure that everything's good and they have everything they need. And then they also had a big greenhouse built, and now they're growing a lot of their own fruits and vegetables, which is kind of handy and helps save cost. There we took all the orphanage kids to the park, and this is actually, there's a little train that goes all around and through the park, and that was we were sitting in the train station, but there was no trains running that day, so we had a little snack and photo op. And then this is a slide thing. There's several of them, cones like that. Basically, they'll rent you out a little, the lid of a 5-gallon bucket for a few pesos for like 15-20 minutes, and the kids slide on them. You can see one of the kid holding the bucket, their lid in his hand there on the top. They try to see who can go the furthest out on the concrete pad. Now this I thought was very interesting, and this was inside of a public transportation bus, a Montana license plate. I don't think he was thrilled with me taking the picture there, but, but I thought that was kind of cool. That's over, like, I think that's from Bozeman or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
Gallup County. But yeah, that was kind of cool. And this is hanging in the office of the orphanage. This is our youth group when we went down there 9 years ago, I think. There's another picture with more of us. There we go. And they have that. That's the only picture they have of any group has come down. That was 9 years ago. I think that was kind of cool that they still had that up there when I saw that. I gotta try this thing. Oh, cool. Christopher and Kayla, and Donovan, and I think Bethany right there. Trevor. Anyway, it was a really fun time. And good to see that there. Now this, I think, is really funny. These boys, this is in the winter time, and so these boys have on their hats and scarves and hoodies, and I was in shorts and a t-shirt and sandals. I mean, it was 70 degrees. But they think it's cold. It's really weird, their concept of what cold is. So I had to share that picture of them all in their warm winter gear. But yeah, you see the ladies coming to church with these long wool coats and scarves around their necks, and we're seriously like in t-shirts and shorts, and kind of mind-blowing. Now this, I didn't get a very good angle on it, but we noticed in our house, in our first house that we were renting, that there was, it was getting darker and darker in there. There was, over the stairs, there was a skylight. And finally I said, I'm going to go up on the roof because it looks like it's something on the skylight. And these vines and weeds had grown all the way up the wall, 2 stories, and covered the skylight. So I had to go to town with my machete, and you see that lump in the middle there, is, that's where the skylight's supposed to be. And then there's the girls just playing with their cousin out on one of the ranchos. And then this gets kind of to our second part of what we do up there. And I've talked to some of you about it and shared online. But one of the ministries that we're involved in is called Fishing Mission Adventures. And it's there's a big lake. Well, it's a reservoir actually. And it's been stocked with bass, and so we have a sports fishing camp basically that people pay money to come and stay and have good food and good bass fishing, and all the proceeds from that business go to support the orphanage. So it's kind of related with the orphanage, so we kind of divide our time between the orphanage and the lake. The lake is surrounded by, well, this is, right there is where the road ends. There's no more roads back there. And there's no electricity back there, telephones or anything like that. And these are some of the indigenous people, they call the Huichol people that live back there. And that's part of what Fishing Mission Adventures is beginning to do as well, is starting to minister to these people. We've just kind of barely started to get our foot in the door this last winter. And God's given us opportunity to share with them, to be able to give them some work up at the Fishing Mission Adventures. And so just be praying for that ministry, because it didn't start out to be that, but God's just kind of made it happen, and so we're really excited to see what He's going to do with that. It's really neat. This is one of their, I just want to use this again. This is one of the, I guess you'd call him a shaman or a witch doctor, one of their religious men. There's a lot of darkness there, especially back in the mountains there with the Huichol. They have a little bit of Catholic influence. You know, they worship Mary, Mother Mary, and they worship baby Jesus. But then they also worship the sun and the spirit animals and all these other things. And they're just constantly in fear of evil spirits getting on them and doing things to them. And if something happens, it's because of an evil spirit, and it's just really dark. And so being able to share with them a group that is largely unreached is a really neat opportunity. That's another thing that I do up there at the lake. Not gonna lie, it's a lot of fun. Oh, there's another one? What?
That's the same one.
No, it's not. But actually, that's the reason I put this one in is you can see the property behind me. That's the house that has been built, and then that's it's called a palapa. It's like a palm thatch roof structure, and that most of the stuff happens there. And this is one of the reasons I'm not really fat from the food. This is the stairs going up from the water up to the property. There's about 160 steps, and as you can see, it's quite steep. But the water level goes up almost to those bushes up there, as you can see. So part of the year, you've only got about 40 steps sticking out of the water. They change the water level so drastically that it's a little easier sometimes. Now this, some of you may have heard the story, and I'm going to share it really fast. Every time I go out to the lake, I usually let people know that I'm going so they can be praying for me, because there's, like I said, there's a lot of spiritual darkness there, and the enemy, anytime you're trying to do something good, is always there to attack and make things go badly. Well, that morning I didn't really pray. I was in a hurry. I got up really early. I had stuff to do. I wanted to get out there, get it done, and come back. I just had to do some maintenance work real quick. And so I didn't post anything on Facebook. I didn't contact anyone, get the prayer warriors moving. And I got about halfway between the boat dock and the property, and the boat just died. Now, I'm not a mechanic, and that was about the extent of what I knew how to do, just kind of tap on it with a screwdriver. But no, I have learned a lot, during my time there, and I'm learning more about boat motors, and I replaced the starter on one, and I'm getting there. But I just had no clue what to do, and not only that, but it was 100 and something degrees, probably about 110, and I had one 20-ounce water bottle with me. Because there's water up at the lake property, so I'll just get up there and I'll drink water up there, and I didn't think about what happens if you get stuck for 5.5 hours in the blazing sun. And I couldn't even jump in the water to cool off because, well, I'll talk about that later. But anyway, finally somebody passed. Well, a lot of people passed, but nobody seemed to want to stop. And so I had plenty of time to ask for forgiveness for not starting out with prayer, and to spend some good quality time with my Creator, and reflect on what I've done. So every time I go out now, you'll see on Facebook I put something saying, "Hey, I'm headed to the lake, please pray for me," So, lesson learned. Oh, there's another shot of the stairs. Then sometimes I'll take Mila or the family out. We'll go out with me, and we have a lot of fun. Mila had a lot of fun finding frogs and snails and scorpions and whatnot. Then of course we did a little fishing afterwards and got to fight off pirates with the boat, and it's always fun to have real props when you're doing stuff like that. But we always have lots of fun. Now this is the dock where we dock the boats at the property, and one of the floats. When they dropped the water so much in a week since I'd been there, that the dock hung up on the stairs, and one of the floats came out from under it, and the dock was stranded, and it took me hours of work to get it back. But anyway, then I had to get in the water to put that float back under and jack it up and screw it, and it was a long, arduous process. But the worst part was that I'm up to my neck, up to my chin, whatever, in this water, and every little swirl of water, every little rock rolling down and hitting my leg just freaked me out, because we've got those in there. And so that is about a 12-foot, it's called the American crocodile. And they don't really hunt humans too much, really. I mean, it's not like they're on the menu, but they're mostly fish eaters, but they could. They're big enough to definitely do some serious damage. So I try to stay out of the water, but when we got to do stuff like fix the dock, sometimes we do that. So again, prayers always appreciated. So yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking. Thankfully, I was already in the water. So, but that's another shot of the property, of the house, the building, and the palapa with the. Then behind there, actually right through there, you can't see it yet because it's just a slab board. We're going to have a dormitory built, basically, with 4 rooms with bathrooms, and they'll have like 4 bunks in each room to accommodate bigger parties of fishermen. And then another part of what we want to do with the property as well, and have been doing, is be able to bring out groups of, like, we've had some pastors' reunions there, you know, like pastor conferences and stuff. The orphanage kids come out usually every once in a while and have a fun day. And then missionaries, we want to have a retreat kind of for missionaries to come and relax for a few days and just unwind. So it'll be easier when we have that. This is Dave and Barbara Sanders. They're the ones who are, this was their vision and their ministry from God to do this. And then this was some of our clients. This was a couple guys that came over from Sweden and went fishing with us. Now this is another guy that came and went fishing with us. And then Dave, the guy who runs Fishing Mission Adventures. And that was a team from a church in Oregon that came down and did kind of construction mission at the Fishing Mission Adventures, and that they're standing in front of the wall that they built. And then that is the property as seen from the air. That's the house and property right there. That's where I saw that humongous crocodile right there, and then the dock is right there. So yeah, not too, a little scary, but. And because there's rivers coming in and so much rain, you can see the color of the water is just like chocolate milk. So you're not going to see them coming. But,
so you have to take a boat to the house?
Right, there's no roads back there, so it's all just boat access only. This is, his name is David Wolfe. He flies with UIM, which is a aviation ministry there that they fly missionaries to different villages in the mountains, and they fly supplies, and they do emergency medical runs, and they do just all kinds of things. They've even carried, packed out that plane with Operation Christmas Child boxes, which is really cool. Taking them out to some of the villages and things like that. And he, well, I don't know, 6 months or so ago, maybe we kind of got to know each other a little bit, and he invited me to go out flying with them, and so that was where I got the picture of the orphanage from the air that was in the video, and then the picture of the lake, and he just took me all around, and it was a really neat opportunity. He's also he was our contact who had contact with one of the villages near us. It's about a 30-minute boat ride and then about a 30-minute hike up the mountain to get to this village. And we went there to find guys to come and work for us because there's a Christian church in that village. And so we were trying to find some guys to come and work to kind of bless them, give them some money, plus us some good labor. And so he was our contact that kind of got our foot in the door there. And that was us hiking up to the village. That donkey has blocks of ice on his back because they don't have any refrigeration or anything, so they pack ice into the village to keep things cooled. And then there's us, well, David and David, the pilot and the Fishing Mission Adventures guy, and then me. And that's just one of the scenes from the village. Everything's made out of either the sticks and poles and stuff, and on stilts, which the kidders know about those, and then mud bricks to do the rest of the construction. Pretty simple and basic. This was, when we got to the village, they called a meeting, and so all the Christian men and leaders in the church and stuff came, and we had a little powwow there and talked about what we wanted to do, and then they took their picture with some of the ladies that were sitting to the side. The ladies weren't part of the meeting. There's it's a pretty macho society, even in the Christians. It wasn't like they were shunned or anything. They just didn't insert themselves into the meeting because it's just the way that they are raised. Oh, I didn't know I put that picture in there. This is we went to a flower shop on Mother's Day to get some flowers for Imelda's mom, and it was just, we driven by there many, many times, this little flower shop, and there's only one or two people in there ever, you know. And we was, oh, let's go down and get some flowers, and there was nowhere to park. I mean, there was double parked on both sides everywhere, all around the intersection near there. And then, of course, it was shoulder to shoulder. People were knocking stuff over and getting irritated, and one of the vases got knocked off the shelf back there, and it was crazy, but I thought I'd show a picture. And this is a delicacy. These are roasted grasshoppers. You just put like chili and lime on them, and They're really good. I really enjoyed that. You know. I'll try just about anything once, you know. But, then there's just doing some work at my mother-in-law's house, doing some painting, and had some really good help. This is a machine shop that I took our boat motor to, or boat motor starter to. When I came back to pick it up, he just picked it up off of one of the piles. I'm like, "You sure that's mine?" You know? It was pretty insane, but I just wanted to show a picture of that. This is really typical. You can see back there's a big pile of garbage in the middle of the street. Then the garbage pile here. Then of course the dogs. It's strange that there's actually only one dog there right now. Usually there's 5 or 6 or a dozen. And they just tear up the garbage and spread it everywhere and eat. That's where they the street dogs subsist off of, is the garbage and dirty diapers and whatnot. And then there's a closer picture of the trash there in the middle of the street. Then the problem is, especially during this time of year, is it rains almost every day. And when it rains, it'll get like a foot deep in the streets here. So just imagine this all is a foot deep. And of course what happens to the garbage, it just flows down.
Why don't they box it up, like make wood things for garbage?
That's what I'd like to know, but I don't know. They're supposed to pick up the garbage like 3 times a week, but sometimes it'll go a week or more without anyone picking it up. And so there's a lot of problems there with infrastructure. Part of the problem too is such heavy corruption. I'm not going to get into it too much, but like the garbage workers won't come and pick up the garbage because they didn't get paid because the funds disappeared, stuff like that, you know. And it's kind of a bad deal. That's in the corner, just 2 houses down from our house. That's where we put our garbage. So there are some containers, as you can see, but the volume of trash doesn't really going to work out. And then right across from there is this huge puddle that never ever goes away, except in the middle of the dry season. But the problem is that the garbage just flows everywhere, and these kids are just swimming in it, and it was kind of gross. But, and that's just like chocolate, and you can see like trash splashing in it when they're swimming. Oh, they're having a blast though. They love it. They probably have great immune systems. Oh, there's another overloaded vehicle that you can see. And then there, I don't know if you recognize that guy and that lady that came down and had stayed in Mexico, and we went and met up with them kind of halfway or whatever, and had a really nice time. And that was a really good highlight of our time there, was having them come down and just being able to relax on the beach with them. And it was really neat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And that's my mom too. She came down to see us and stayed with us for a month, and that was a lot of fun too. And this is right after Christmas. The Sunday school here, most of you probably know, I don't know, did like a fundraiser of some kind, and to give us a good Christmas down there, because they knew we didn't have a lot of money. And they raised enough money that it was way more than we needed, and so we were able to buy gifts for all the kids. Not all of them are pictured here, but most of them. So we got them some toys and some pillows and sheets and pillowcases, and they were pretty happy. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. That was what you guys helped pay for. Neela's birthday, she had some friends over, and that was at our favorite taco place. You know, these delicious tacos. My mom and Imelda's mom and us. That was getting ready to come here. They were getting their winter hats out of boxes and putting them on. I thought that was just some really cute little pictures of my kids. And so I think that's it. Yeah. So all in all, we really, like I said, we really love doing what we're doing. We love being down there. It's not all fun and roses, and it is a struggle and it is a sacrifice in a lot of ways, but God has blessed us so abundantly, and we do have a good time, and we do really feel that this is what God wants us doing at the time. And so just glad we were able to share that with you guys. I guess we're going to potluck after this, so we'll be able to answer questions and whatnot. If there was any big questions you guys wanted to ask right now real quick, we could probably do that.
I'm kind of
curious. What is the main reason the children become orphans?
Well, I wouldn't say there's a main reason. I just say it's multiple reasons. It comes from some of the kids aren't true orphans. Actually, a lot of them are not. They have unfit parents or parents who have been jailed. A lot of it has to do with drugs, all kinds of different drugs and alcoholism, where they become unable to take care of the kids. And so we often find that the kids will stay with us for a few months or a year or two or even a few weeks in some cases. Then we're able to place them with family, which is usually better. Sometimes it is, but then there's other kids that are there from when they're little till they graduate and grow up and move on. And so, yeah, we kind of get all kinds of cases there.
Also, can people from here send you stuff to the orphanage?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, sending actual items is best done sending it with someone if someone's going down. The mail system is ridiculous, and everything gets opened and things get stolen. And we kind of wanted to see what it would take, and so we sent a letter. The girls sent letters to some friends back here in Montana, and I was talking to Christopher Van Note, and I was waiting and waiting. I was like, man, didn't they ever get those back? And it was just over 2 months before it got here. So it's pretty poor mail system. So yeah, if you want to send stuff, I mean, you can send money and designate and say this is what we were hoping to do with it. That's fine. Or send stuff with people that might be coming down.
Yeah, so how does that work? If we were to send money to you guys, does that take 2 months to get to you guys?
No, you can wire it electronically through the bank system, or we have a bank account that the church has access to deposit funds. So if you wanted to say, hey, we wanted to give this to the orphanage, or we want to give this to the McDaniels, contact Steve probably, and Steve, there he is. Yeah, that too, and that money gets deposited into our bank account here, which then we access from down there. So yeah, it's pretty easy. It's nice, yeah. Yes, sir.
What's your biggest need right now that you need down there? I mean,
us as a family?
Yeah, as your ministry, or
our biggest need? Well, I guess we don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of monthly income. It's pretty low compared to what we were expecting when we went down there, I guess. Not all of that came through or stayed consistent. So just, we do struggle a bit to pay the bills sometimes. God supplied our needs, and we've always made it, and we've always paid our bills. But sometimes it would be nice to have a little bit more to deal with. We like to be generous when we can. We like to help people. There's needs all around us. And so we do that, but then it's still pretty tough sometimes financially. That would probably be our biggest need. We have other needs. I mean, it'd be nice to have an air conditioner. It'd be nice to have a dryer for our clothes, because like this time of year, it's always raining and it's super humid, and you can't put the clothes out on the roof because it's going to rain in 5 minutes. And so we have a little covered space, but the air doesn't really flow, and sometimes the clothes don't dry for 2 days, and then they smell weird, and so it's a little frustrating. I mean, again, you can deal with it. Most of the people in our neighborhood, we live in a fairly poor neighborhood. Most of the people don't have those kinds of things, and so we haven't pushed really hard to try to get that. Again, living with them and living like them and being part of there has been nice. Like I said, to get to know them and to get on that level with them, so that they're like, oh, they have everything they need, they have all they want, and they're rich Americans, why are they telling me anything, you know? And so it's been good, but we don't have, like I said, any major, huge needs, other than just having a little more money to work with would be probably really helpful.
Kevin, I remember when you were on your crutches with your cane and couldn't hardly get around for such a long time. And it was so good to see you up the ladder and strong and well and able to climb up all those stairs and do God. He's a healing God.
He is amazing. God is amazing. It's a huge blessing to be able to do that.
Is your back still good?
It's mostly good, yeah. I mean, I overdo it all the time, and then I hurt for a couple days, but then I'm good again. As long as I'm smart and careful with it, and don't lift super heavy giant things, you know. So I try to be careful, but like she said, I mean, you saw in the pictures, I'm able to do most things pretty well. Scott, were you?
Yeah, how far from your house and the orphanage to the lake?
It takes an hour and 10-15 minutes to drive there. So it's about 50 miles, but it's like this and going through the mountains and windy roads. So pretty good road though. The government, because it's a big hydroelectric power plant there, and so the government keeps the road pretty good because there's a lot of, you know, maintenance and people coming through and stuff like that. So thankfully it is a nice road going out there. But.
How far do you have to travel to buy groceries and clothes and those kinds of things?
Well, we go down into town. I mean, if you're driving, it takes, what, 15 minutes to get down to where we buy groceries. And then we do like our big shopping, like once every 2 weeks or whatever. And then we get the little things, milk and breads and oil and the little things that we run out of, you know. There's like a store on every block in the neighborhoods. Like everybody's got their little business, you know, and they'll sell milk and Coke and crackers and cookies and chips and eggs and oil and different things, you know, that toilet paper and toothbrushes and, you know, just little different things. I mean, they'll have this little tiny space, you know, just like a little corner there, like from Tim, even smaller than that, probably from where you're sitting, man, back to the corner and back there. It'll just be packed out. Some of them have little aisles that you can walk through and find stuff, but some of them you just point at what you want and they'll get it down for you, but there's no way you're getting back there. But yeah, there's little stores everywhere. They're very much, they're very entrepreneurial. Is that a word? I don't know. They are entrepreneurs. Everybody's trying to do something to survive, to get ahead, to make a little money. And so there's all kinds of little businesses and stores and things like that. I think actually if you go down to the corner where the garbage was, where I said that was where we dump our garbage, I think if you stand right there, you can see 4 stores. It's pretty competition. Yeah?
Happy birthday today.
Oh, thank you very much. I rented a storage unit for the overflow of gifts, so...
You got a lot of problem with the drug cartels and whatnot down there?
Yes.
You guys in danger?
That is a long and intricate answer. I'll try to give you the short answer. There is danger because there are drug cartels. Our particular city where we live, the violence isn't near what it is in other parts of Mexico, or most of Mexico, I should say. Even our neighboring states, where just mayhem and murders and just craziness goes on. There is quite a bit of violence that happens in our city. Not only well, I mean, it's a city of 400,000 people, so there's just violence and killings and stuff, you know, that happen in any big city. But then there's also the added, like you said, the drug cartels have footholds in certain areas, and they have territory and they fight over it. And then the army and the police and the Marines and everybody has other operations going on, and there's fights and battles that go on. There was a couple months ago, there was a drug lord holed up in a house about 2 miles from our neighborhood, and they did a coordinated raid on him, and there was a helicopter in the air shooting tracers. It was at night, so it was just lit up the sky, and it was crazy, and grenades going off and everything like that. We could see all the helicopters and hear stuff, and it was a little scary. But on the other hand, we don't feel targeted. They don't target innocent civilians. People do get shot and hurt in you know, as innocent bystanders or whatever, you know. But we don't go around, you know, just in fear for our lives all day or anything like that. And that's the short answer. All right, well.
All right.
Turn it back to Glenn.